Science, living things and their environments. Genetic inheritance in living things, Part 2. Please look in your science book. Look at pages 58, 59 and 60. Turn to page 58. You can see here that here and here, these are a pair of genes. Okay. A pair is like saying two, pair. So we have a pair of socks, for example, or a pair of shoes. As you have two socks, two shoes, a pair. A pair of chromosomes. Each one of these is a chromosome. Gene that controls type of face. So here we have an A, but a capital A. And another A, but it's a lowercase a. Gene that control type of earlobe. So again we have a B and a B, but one is uppercase or capital, the other is a lowercase. Capital C, lowercase c. Gene that control type of hair. Example of genes on chromosomes that control the genetic traits in humans. There should be an S here. When cells split to form new gametes, each pair of chromosomes in the parent's gametes will split into new cells. This makes the genes in the chromosomes to also split up. Okay, so when something splits, it's the same as if you have one thing like this, and then it will divide itself. It's not a very straight line. And then it will split and become two. This will go this way, this will go this way. So they split or they divide into new cells. The gene from the father's gamete, sperm, mixes with the gene from the mother's gamete, egg cell. The genes that control the same type of genetic trait will pair up again to form a new pair of genes. So this is saying that the genes from the father, they will split, the same as this, and the ones from the mother will do the same. So you will have one half from the father and one half from the mother, and they will join together to become one. That is the new cell, offspring's cell, will have both the father's and mother's genes. Okay, so offspring is the children. It's another word for your children. Each new pair of genes will control a different genetic trait which will show up in a child. Example, the gene that gives a child dimples. Later we will see a picture of what dimples are. Okay, so you can see here the father and the mother. So the sperm from the father and the egg from the mother. Okay, so the genes from the mother and from the father both go into the egg. The genes split in the egg and they pair up. The genes pair up on a new chromosome. So here we have the one from the father, and here we have the one from the mother. The cells of the child have chromosomes from both parents. Example of the pairing of genes from the gametes of parents. Turn to page 59. One gene controls one genetic trait. There are two types of genes that control the genetic traits of living things. They are a dominant gene is a gene that can show its trait even when there is another gene there. The trait it shows is called the dominant trait. It is written in capital letters, e.g. TT. We have two capital letters, or T and a lowercase t. So the capital T is the dominant. A recessive gene is a gene that can only show its trait when it is paired up with the same kind of gene. The trait it shows is called the recessive trait. It is written in small letters. Example, TT. The pairing of genes that control the genetic traits of a living thing is called a genotype. Genotypes are written as a pair of English letters. Example, A, A, B, B, and D, D. Okay. There is also C, C. Okay, but you can see we have a mix of capital and lowercase, and two capitals, and again capital and lowercase. When we describe how a living thing looks, we describe its phenotype. Okay, so the PH is pronounced as a F sound. Phenotype is the physical looks of a living thing and how they do things. Example, the height of a pea's stem, the colour should be of our skin, the genetic inheritance of living things can be grouped into three. 1. The dominant trait is a trait that shows in every generation of the living things. 2. The recessive trait is a trait that is only seen in some generations. 3. The variant trait is a trait that is different from the other members of the family and can be passed on to the next generations. Science fact. It is possible to make any traits in a living thing by using plastic surgery. But those traits cannot be passed on to the offspring. Only those that are controlled by the genes within the gametes of the living things can be passed on from the ancestors to the offspring. Okay, so ancestors means the people in your family that came before you. So your parents are your ancestors. Your grandparents are your ancestors. And your great grandparents. They are all your ancestors. Turn to page 60. Genetic traits of humans. When we observe the people around us, we see some similar and some different traits. Okay, so observe is to look at. So each person is special because these different genetic traits are passed on from our ancestors to each of us. Example, the genetic traits of humans. 1. Hairline. Okay, so you can see the hairline here. And here it's more on top of the head instead of at the front of the head. A widow's peak. This is called a widow's peak, where the hair is like this. This is straight because it's straight like this. Type of hair. Straight hair. You can see her hair is nice and straight. Curly hair. Her hair is all curly. Three, earlobe. Three, earlobe. Okay, so this part of the ear at the bottom here and here is the ear lobe. Detached. Okay, you can see that his earlobe is detached. It's not joined onto his cheek. Attached. You can see here there's a wide section here where it's part of his cheek. 4. Skin color. Fair. Okay, so she has white skin. She is fair skinned. This lady has dark skin. Dark. 5. Eye color. Blue. Brown. Eyelid. So we have a single eyelid here and a double eyelid. Here you can see there's an extra crease. We call this here a crease in the skin. 7. Hair whorl. Okay, it's a strange spelling, but it's pronounced as whirl, not whorl. It's whirl. So we have a single here and a double. Okay, so this person has one here and one here. So a double meaning 2. In England, most people call this the crown. They don't call it the whirl. And same with here. We'll just say a single crown or a double crown. We don't say whirl. But this is the correct word. This is the science word. 8. Dimple. Have dimples. No dimples. Now you can see here on her cheek near her mouth, she has a little crease in her cheek. This is called a dimple. But here, this person does not have. There's a little line here, but it's not a dimple. This line here is the same as this one. Okay? There's no dimple in the cheek. 9. Tongue. Able to roll. Unable to roll. Okay, so some people can do this. I can. But some people cannot. They cannot make their tongue roll to make this shape. Homework. 1. Write 2 dominant traits in your family. 2. Write 1 recessive trait in your family. 3. Use the worksheet from the classroom. Look at my example first. I have put a worksheet in the classroom for science with an example writing, and I have put another worksheet with no writing. So read the example first and then use the one with no writing to make your own. So that's all from me with this week's science, and I will see you on the next lesson. Bye!